Hello, everybody, and welcome to the next chapter of a fantastic weekend, Festival of the Unexplained, the winter edition, and it's all in aid of Campaign Against Living Miserably, the Calm charity. What a fantastic charity it is, and what a fantastic event that Karen and the guys are helping to run here, and everybody taking part. It's a privilege, really, and an honour. So today, for the first segment, because I'll be on again later, but for this part, I'm really honoured to be interviewing a fantastic couple of guys, really, who, in terms of paranormal, are up there. They're way up there. And they take no introduction, really. You guys will know who they are. So I'm going to bring them in now. So we have Chris Mckinnell and we have Kathrine Sorilos. And how are you guys doing?
Doing great.
Fantastic.
Great to be here. Thank you very much for having us.
It's not a problem. It's, like I say, the honour's all mine, really. So everybody knows who you are within the world of the paranormal, but just in case there are people tuning in that maybe don't, maybe they're just coming on board because of the charity or they're fresh to it. Would you like to just introduce yourselves and who you are and what it is you guys do?
Sure. Ladies first.
Okay. All right. I'm a psychic trance medium. Also a paranormal investigator. I'm a parapsychologist, clinical hypnotherapist, Reiki master. I do different things into the psychic and the spiritual, I would say, broadcast.
yeah, that's about right.
And I'm also, you can always find me on Oracle Whispers.
Okay.
And onto the Warren Foundation as well.
Okay, that's great. Brilliant. And Chris?
Well, speaking of the Warren Legacy Foundation, I'm the director of the foundation. We carry on the work of my grandparents, Ed and Lorraine Warren. I started doing this work 40 years ago, and I've been doing it ever since. We are an international organization that helps people everywhere we can. It's not a perfect coverage yet. We're still growing, but we have a network of fine people in every continent, and they're there to help you if you need anything. We don't charge for our services. I'm a exorcist, a minister, a psychic investigator, of course. A little bit of psychic, but I don't use the abilities really. Okay. Unless I'm on a case. So no readings or anything of that sort.
No.
That I scare people too much, so I don't do it. I don't like to scare people.
Okay. So really quite the resume from both of you guys. You touched there on the Warren Foundation, which I think is brilliant. I think it's great what you're trying to do. And to have it kind of, as you say, worldwide. And as you say, it's not perfect yet, but in my eyes, you're doing a fantastic job. What was your aim for that when you said 40 years ago now? What was your aim when you first had this plan to get this foundation up and going?
Well, the foundation's only been in the planning stages for about 7 or 8 years.
Okay.
I went to my grandmother. This was after the first Conjuring movie came out.
Right.
And I said, Graham, look, we're getting requests from all over the world. And the New England Society for Psychic Research is a wonderful organization, but it's local. And we need to expand. And I really want your name to continue when you're gone. And she loved the idea. She loved all of it. So together we planned it out and I began it.
Great. Brilliant. And so it's all about keeping the name going, which I think is brilliant. But obviously, Kathrine works alongside you where the foundation is concerned. So, Kathrine, do you kind of look after other parts of this foundation? Is there different aspects?
Yes, I am the regional director for Europe and the UK. So okay. I look after our members on the foundation in Europe and the UK, guiding them, helping them. I won't say teaching them, but guiding them the right way into the paranormal and with their abilities, helping them out with their abilities. And and I'm always there for them whenever they need me.
She is being very, very, very humble here. truth is, she's not only the regional director for Europe, but she's also a board member. And don't let her lie to you. She is constantly teaching.
Okay.
That is one of the pillars of the foundation. Yeah. We are here to help educate the next generation researchers. We're trying to instill a code of ethics. Yeah. Because unfortunately, in this field, there are a lot of big egos, and often the clients, the people that we serve, are lost, and we don't want that to continue. So, she is an extraordinary person, and she's never allowed to leave.
If the camera went down, you'd see a ball and chain.
Exactly.
That's great. So when it comes to you talk there about big egos, and that's quite an interest of mine. That's something I talk about quite a lot. Do you think there's a reason for that when it comes to the paranormal? I mean, do you want to get into that?
You know what it is? I see it all the time in my own personal life. You know, people treat you like you're something special because you do this. The ones that don't think you're crazy, of course.
Yeah.
And you it's easy to get a swelled head, and I do everything in my power to let people know I'm just a person. I'm nothing special at all. I'm just here to help. That's it. And if it ever gets to the point where it starts to swell my head, I've got people like Kathrine who will knock me upside the head and make sure that I don't ever get that way. And also, I have very good friends who will never let me forget where I come from.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. And I think the problem with a lot of the egos is in the last decade, maybe a bit longer now, ghost hunting has just exploded. You know, it was all over the TV. It was everywhere. And basically, people who were nobodies became celebrities. And we live in a culture where anybody can be a celebrity, really. And you can massively see why their heads get swollen. So there's nothing really against it because you can see how it could happen. But I am more in favour of you guys of keeping grounded, keeping level-headed, because really what you're doing there is you're staying true to your purpose. You're staying true to what it is you set out to do. You're not being swayed by the money, by the viewing figures of a TV programme, by all that stuff, which a lot of people do. Well, this is it. This is it. You know, like if I go and investigate somewhere and people say, "How much do you want?" Nothing really, you know, just a cup of tea, please. And but you'd be amazed. Oh, really? The last person I had round had £100 off me and stuff like that. And it's crazy. Okay, so obviously,
if somebody is trying to charge you for their services for the paranormal, walk away.
Yeah, 100%. That's what I tell people. It's so wrong because most of the time they go around there with a plan. We're going to get rid of this. We're going to do this. And 9 times out of 10 it never happens.
Exactly.
And in fact they make it worse. You know, so it's stupid really. So you touched there, Chris, about how your obviously your Nan and Grandad are the famous Ed and Lorraine Warren, who were made even more famous by films such as The Conjuring and that whole universe that has now exploded out of those movies, such as Annabelle, the famous doll. Is that a stigma that you carry with you when you kind of go on investigations? Is it something that people kind of just tag on you? And do you like that, or do you try and become your own independent person?
I'm very proud of my grandparents. We are not the same people. The foundation started with them, but it has gone far beyond what they were doing. My viewpoints are more worldly. I've been lucky enough to live in over 60 places in the world. Well, not quite every continent. I haven't been to Australia yet, but I've lived everywhere else. Yeah. And for Australia, I've got that covered with Kathrine. But
I'm the Aussie here.
Aussie Greek.
Aussie Greek.
But the movies are not real. And a lot of people too many people think that it's almost a documentary, and it's not. The Annabelle movies are pure fantasy. There's nothing real about the Annabelle movies whatsoever. Annabelle exists, but she is a Raggedy Ann doll. And she has not caused trouble for anybody since around 1975 or so, 77, somewhere in that age, when my grandparents figured out how to lock it down, how to keep it safe so that it wasn't able to hurt anyone else.
Yeah.
Whereas the first Conjuring movie was really, really good, actually. The second Conjuring movie took two different cases, Amityville and the Enfield, England case, and combined them, which there was no connection whatsoever. The Nun doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And at the end of Conjuring 2, the entire ending is absolutely insane and ridiculous. So I'm not ashamed at all. I'm very proud of my grandparents and what they've done, especially given when they started in the 50s.
Yeah.
But I spent a lot of time telling people that the movies aren't real. Yeah.
I can imagine. And when they started off in around the 50s, obviously that's before my time. I can only
when they started New England Society, but even before then, my grandfather grew up in a haunted house. My grandmother was having psychic experiences when she was like 8 years old. It's just something they've always been a part of.
Yeah. And around that time, I guess, because nowadays it's becoming more and more accepted. Don't get me wrong, we are still, as you say, some people still call us crazy and people laugh at us. But do you think they would have fit in more now? I mean, do you often wonder what would they make of the scene if they were around now?
My grandmother only passed away recently. So she saw all the Hollywood hype and she loved it. She was overjoyed. She thought it was fun. My grandfather would have loved it. He really would have. They were involved with the second Amityville movie. They were involved with a couple of other productions. So they had a taste of it. Personally, I find it all a little bit overwhelming. I'm not comfortable with people thinking I'm anything special. I'm not. You want special, you go see Kathrine.
That's lovely. So, Kathrine, do you find that you have the same ideas as Chris when it comes to approaching the paranormal? Because there are times where it can be healthy to have different approaches and to be able to butt heads about how you're going to approach an investigation or how you're going to tackle something. Do you find you have similar approaches or do you differ?
Well, I would say Chris keeps the old ways of a paranormal investigation.
Okay.
Which, it's true. You don't need all these gadgets to go into an investigation. You can do it with.
I'm definitely old school in that way.
Yeah, you can do it with a tape recorder. You can do it with your phone. The thing is, they want to prove out that there's something there. Like if I go as a psychic medium in a paranormal investigation and I'm like, I see this, I see that, I see this. People are looking at me going, okay, yeah, we don't. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I understand. So people are trying with their gadgets to catch the phantom, to catch the ghost, to catch that voice, to catch what I'm seeing, what I'm feeling, what I'm hearing. And to prove, I don't know, to themselves, to the public, to the person that they were, helping out, that there is something there.
Yeah.
Doing it like that to prove that there is something there to yourself and to the person that you're helping, that's fine. When you're trying to prove it to the public for the clicks and the views, and it's not fine with me.
No, I agree. And I found that when that happens, your integrity as a researcher and an investigator just becomes completely, null and void, because you're willing to cheat and lie and fake because those clicks become addictive, and I guess if you're being paid for certain things, they become addictive as well.
Okay. I've got a lot of gadgets up there, heaps of gadgets, but I don't use them much.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've been the same because I was going to talk to you about equipment because obviously when your nan and granddad were around, they wouldn't have had half of the gadgets that we have now, and things because in
That
my
recorder
opinion,
and a camera, that was it.
yeah, and that's it. And when I go on investigations, the more I've done through the years, the more I'm leaning towards it's just about me. You know, I am the best piece of equipment that there can be. And you see people on their mobile phones, they're using these apps that can easily be, you know, fake or falsified or have, you know, algorithms in them and stuff. What would your nan and granddad have made of that? You know, the new approach to ghost hunting.
You know, honestly, I couldn't say for sure. They were not scientifically based. They were faith-based. And for me, just to clarify, I believe that it's not important to prove anything to the public at all. My job is to serve the people who are being bothered or hurt. And I don't care if you believe me or don't believe me. It doesn't bother me in the least. All I care about is, can I help this family that's feeling terrified and is in trouble? They're feared for their life. I want to help them. That's it. Yeah. My grandfather definitely was somebody who didn't believe in a whole bunch of stuff. He liked having the camera. He liked having the cassette recorder. Those were his things. And I use pretty much the same thing. I use my iPad for my video camera and for my regular camera and for recording. And that's it. The thing to remember with all of these gadgets is that energy manipulation is the very simplest thing that a spirit can do. Yeah. That's how they communicate. They are energy. And so none of these things, anything can be used as long as the spirit wants to communicate.
Yeah.
The problem is when you go in there and you're opening doors by inviting something to communicate, you have no idea what's coming through. You're not able to protect yourself. You give up your protection through the active use of your free will, your choice to invite something in. It doesn't matter how many prayers you say or how much you do a closing ritual of some sort. You've used your free will and you've allowed the lion to come into the room. Just saying, go away, lion, isn't going to work anymore.
Yeah. I think... sorry, Kathrine. Carry on.
Like I said, I agree with Chris here. We agree on a lot of things. I agree there with Chris 100% because when you're in an investigation, you go, is anybody there? Can you make a noise? Knock 3 times for yes or 2 times for no. You're actually summoning, you're inviting, you're opening the portal. Yep. If you don't talk at all and you respect, because you've got to respect whatever's there. Yeah, because you don't know how powerful it is. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if you respect it and let it come through, it will come through if it wants to.
Yeah.
Passive communication is the safe way to work with spirit.
Yeah.
You allow them to communicate with you. You don't invite them to communicate.
Exactly.
Yeah, and by inviting, of course, a lot of people, something I always tell people is don't give the spirits an idea of who it is you want to talk to, because when you're inviting them, they could be anybody, and because you can't see them and you don't know who they are, it would be easy for them to pretend that they're the person that you want, and so by doing what you guys are saying, it's so correct, because just let them be who they are, and if you're there to pick it up, fantastic. If you're there to interact with it, great, but just don't kind of force it in, because you just don't know what you're dealing with. Something you mentioned there, Chris, about the equipment. So I often tell people, don't be so scared of things like spirit boards, and don't be so scared of things like this, because they've been sensationalized through things like movies and the media and things like that. But if a spirit wants to interact with you, it will. It doesn't matter what piece of equipment that you use, Do you agree with that statement?
Yes, I do. I worry if by spirit board, do you mean spirit box, or do you mean like Ouija board?
Ouija board, yeah. Sorry, yeah. I call it spirit board, yeah.
Here's the thing about a Ouija board. That is not passive communication. That is active communication, and that is dangerous.
Okay.
Everyone thinks, oh, Ouija board. It's not the Ouija board. It's the act of active communication. And whether it's a seance, automatic writing, or whatever you use, a spirit box, any of these things, if you're inviting it in, that's the issue. That's why it's dangerous. It's not the board and the piece of plastic that you're using.
Yeah. I'd have to agree.
Another thing, when you go on an investigation and you've got your psychic medium, that is your tool. Your psychic medium is your tool. She or he is the one that's communicating with the spirit.
Yeah, and of course, because the guys who have the talent like yourself, you can help protect people, because so many people tread into this field completely unprepared, with no knowledge, because they've seen some people on TV doing it, so they think, oh, we can go and do it now, and it's fine to do. Do you think that's a dangerous thing, where people just watch TV and think, I can do that, and off they go?
Yeah. The thing you need to remember about these television reality programs, they're there to sell commercial time. They're done by producers. They're not done by actual researchers. And they have to do what the producer tells them to do, period. You're not going to learn anything from them. You're not going to learn anything from most of these YouTube videos that are out there. These are just people who are chasing their own tails and watching other people's YouTube videos and then putting on their own YouTube videos.
Yeah.
And, they may get 1 million hits, but they're not really teaching you anything. Shameless plug time. If you do want to learn something about the paranormal, check out our videos on the Warren Files YouTube channel. Okay. We're not going to teach you, for the most part, we don't teach you how to do an investigation. That's something we're working on doing in the future privately, not publicly, because we want to interact with the student. We want to understand what they are thinking. Our first priority is always to our clients. And those people in need are the ones that come first. It isn't about you who wants to be the demonologist or the exorcist or what have you. It's about the people we serve. Yeah.
I think that's a fantastic statement to make, really, because it gets lost. We spoke about egos before, and that whole purpose gets lost, really, and the path that we're on, really, when it comes to paranormal investigating, it can get lost amongst the big egos and the YouTube views and the clicks, as Kathrine put it. I know you guys wanted to touch on obviously what we're doing here. So this whole thing, this whole weekend, is about CALM, and that's Campaign Against Living Miserably. Please, guys, head over to the Just Giving page to donate. That would be fantastic. I know they've raised so much already, but there's always room for more. It's a really good campaign, and I know, Chris, you wanted to talk about how that negativity when it comes to mental health issues and how that can impact on the paranormal. I mean, there's obviously a correlation there, and there always has been, but do you find that at the moment, the way the world is, it's kind of getting worse?
Yeah. My grandmother used to say that like attracts like. Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you put out positive energy, you're going to get back something positive. If you put out negative energy, you're going to get negative things back. And so I'm not saying that all of our cases involve mental illness. Not at all. But if you have a negative haunting, if something horrible is happening to you, there's 95% of the time, there is an underlying issue that needs to be dealt with. Not just mental illness. It can be anything. It could be anxiety. It can be, for instance, right now, we're seeing a huge uptick in cases because of lockdown. Yeah. And the spirits are getting stirred up because, all of a sudden, people are there all the time. And their anxiety is inflaming these spirits, and those are manifesting.
Yeah. Yeah, Kathrine, do you have any points to bring to that?
I agree with Chris there a lot, because don't forget that every house that you live in, there is always the psychic imprint there from not just the dead, but the living. So you don't know beforehand the people that lived in that house, what they went through. So when you walk into a house to live, I mean, the house to me is alive, it breathes. So when someone walks in a new house, or rents out or buys a house, that other people that live there that were miserable, that were unhappy, if you're a little bit of an empath or a psychic or open, like Chris says, and you will pick up that psychic imprint.
Yeah.
And you will manifest negative energy if there's issues with you and your partner, or with you and your family.
Yeah.
So
one of the other things Kathrine should talk about is self-manifestation, because she's right on the edge of talking about that. That's something that we're seeing an awful lot of. So could you explain that?
Self-manifestation. Okay, to me, this is my opinion, right? A lot of people are saying they're seeing shadow people at the corner of their eye. They're seeing shadow people, not seeing a form, just a blubber.
Yeah.
Just a dark shadow. Now, what you're seeing is what you are manifesting. Your negativity, I mean, how can I say it? You might not know that you're negative, or that you're, you're projecting something negative out there. So you're manifesting something. And it's a shadow because it doesn't have shape. So what would it do? It will feed on your fear, and it will take on your fear. What do you fear? Snakes? It will look like a snake. Do you fear demons? It will look like a demon. Do you fear the hag? It will manifest as the hag.
Yeah.
Until you give it shape with your fear, it feeds off your fear. So to me, with whatever's going on around at the moment, be happy, smile, laugh, dance, interact with your family. You're feeling sad? Get it out. Say it. You feel like you want to cry? Cry. You want to scream? Scream. You want to laugh? Laugh. Get those emotions out of you. Don't swallow them in there, because you will. You are made of energy, so you will manifest energy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's important to understand that around the world, things manifest differently because of our own beliefs, our own cultural and religious and spiritual beliefs shape the way the paranormal manifests itself. And a lot of times, things will fly across the room and what have you. There's no spirit involved. That's you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That is all that is. I know that sounds odd, but there's a conjunction sometimes between a place that has a lot of energy and a person who is in turmoil, and then that energy explodes.
Yeah.
We see it a lot with people who are on the spectrum, autistic. They're very gifted people, and they are. I've heard a wonderful theory that they are the next step in our evolution, and I believe that they are extremely focused. And sometimes, not always, I'm not saying that every autistic person does this, but sometimes that can manifest in a powerful explosion of energy.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think just to kind of what you're talking about there, and you're manifesting your own paranormal experiences, that's a theory that I've been working on a lot lately, because you often find that, if people are religious, they will see the Virgin Mary. If somebody wants to see a Bigfoot, or, they always manifest whatever it is that they want to see. But there has to be an opposite, doesn't there, Kathrine? If you're producing negativity because of your fears and everything, surely the positives can bring in manifestations as well. And what form do they tend to take?
like positive manifestations.
Yeah.
To me, when I'm happy and there's positive. Well, most times, yeah, here and there, everywhere. Having 5 kids, running around like a crazy woman. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, you can see colors. I see colors when I'm really, when I'm attracting positive energy. I see colors. I see auras. I feel the like warm energy around. I see my family happy,
Yeah.
and that's what counts for me. I see
Yeah.
other people, my friends, happy.
Yeah.
Don't forget, I've said that before. We are born both with our psychic abilities. Everybody's got them. Psychic abilities and spiritual abilities. Our psychic abilities are imprinted in our DNA, and our spiritual abilities, we develop them. So that's why you get little kids. We develop them slowly from the day we are born. That's why you see little kids. They could be looking up in the ceiling and laughing at something, or looking
Yeah.
at the door and laughing at something. You are born with both of those abilities.
Yeah, yeah, and again, it's true. You see children with imaginary friends, but as a society, what we tend to do is put a negative spin on that, and we tell them it's not real. It's imaginary. Don't be stupid. Ghosts don't exist. And what we're doing is we're shutting that part down. So when they grow up, they're pushing it away until at some point they just no longer recognize it anymore.
Not only that, we are causing our children. If you can guide your child, or get someone to help you to guide your child, instead of shrinking it inside them and causing them later on psychological issues and anxiety attacks and breakouts and negativity, teach them, guide them how to use those abilities.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, and I think that's a really good point to make. And touching on the positivity there, Chris, everything is always geared towards the negative when it comes to paranormal. People want to be scared. People love that fear aspect. The horror movies, the scare mazes that people can go through, the ghost trains, stuff like that. It's not very often you hear of the positive side of paranormal investigations. Do you find that it plays a big part in your investigations?
Unfortunately, the positive doesn't get reported as much as the negative to us either. If you're having, there was a wonderful story that I've told many times, many times, about a ghost in a friend's house. And at 10 o'clock every night, the ghost would walk down the stairs, walk into the kitchen, turn on the popcorn machine that they didn't have, make the popcorn, and then walk back up the stairs every single night. Very positive, nothing scary about it. It was just residual haunting. Yep. And nothing evil. Angelic manifestations are another thing that do happen quite a bit, where something positive comes, or Padre Pio is a popular one. He seems to get around an awful lot. He's showed up in the Amityville house. He's showed up in, for me, on a number of cases, including the West Pittston case, which is known as the Haunted. Yeah, the Haunted. So yeah, there is light out there.
Yeah.
But you have to be open to it, and you have to be the one drawing that light in. What Kathrine said earlier is incredibly important in all of our cases, which is put on happy music, dance, sing, laugh, watch old comedies or new comedies that make you happy. Make love your family. Do everything you can to raise the energy in your home. Clean your house.
Yes.
Get rid of the clutter in your home. Yep. These things are really, really important. That free flow of energy is so vital to helping you overcome whatever darkness might be there. And if you do want to scream, if you do want to cry, take it outside. Don't leave it inside the walls of your home. Mm-hmm. Get it out. Don't live with it. If you're having a conflict with your loved ones, talk about it. Don't scream about it. Talk about it. Work it out. And remember that regardless of what issues you may have, if the love is there, that's the thing that can overcome the darkness.
Yeah. Yeah, so, and a really good point. I've got a question in the comments. It's quite a nice question, so I thought I'd bring it in. SJ Smith has asked of you, Chris, that she would have loved to have met Ed and Lorraine, and she was saddened by their passing. She'd like to know, what were they like as people, and what did they like apart from the paranormal? Because again, people just associate them with, pigeonhole them. They're paranormal investigators. Of course, they would have had a life outside of that. And I think SJ there is asking, what were they into apart from ghosts?
Thank you, SJ. They were pretty amazing people. My grandfather was a real man's man type. His favorite actor was John Wayne, but my grandmother, she was all about family. She was all about the holidays and celebrating and making them very important. Both of them were huge advocates for animals, and they always had lots of pets. Matter of fact, one of my favorite stories about my grandfather, he was driving down the street one day and he saw this big old shaggy dog in the wintertime, chain around its neck, wrapped around this tree in the frozen mud, miserable as could be. He walked up, he unhooked the dog, he went up to the front door, slammed on the door, and said, "You just lost your dog." He brought that dog home, and the dog's name was Duke.
Wow, okay. So obviously they were very compassionate and had that caring side, which touches on what we were just talking about, raising the energy and bringing the love, and which is probably why they were so successful really on their investigations. I want to bring it forward a bit to your guys' investigations. Some of their investigations are now so famous, made into films and books and stuff like that. Have you ever been on an investigation recently, kind of under your own guise, that can compare with any of their investigations?
Yeah, a number of them. There have been many cases. I obviously worked on a lot of their big cases as well. I didn't work on the Amityville or the Conjuring cases, but Satan's Harvest with Maurice Theriault, that was one of mine. The Haunted, the what's it called? The Haunting in Connecticut. That was that was my case, actually.
Oh, okay. That was a film as well. I'm right in thinking.
Terrible film. Terrible.
Is that the one where it sets fire at the end? The house sets on fire. Is that right? Am I thinking?
Honest to God, I can only get through the first 45 minutes. I never. But yeah, we're actually we've worked on so many cases, some of which are tragic, some of which are extremely frustrating because of lockdown. We've got one right now in London, and we can't get there. I've been trying to get there forever. And the poor man was cursed. That's something I had a hard time with for years, believing in curses. But it's all energy. It's just like a prayer. When you focus all of your energy, whether it's good or evil, sometimes you can hook into something and you can make it happen. You can make it manifest. And this man was cursed, and he has been in an institution for over 20 years. It's not going to be an easy case when we finally get to do the exorcism, because the damage has already been done. And he will have psychological issues for the rest of his life, no matter what good we can do. So it is frustrating, but we try to bring as much light as we can into the people that we serve. Yeah.
And for you, Kathrine, what would you say is your kind of highlight of an investigation? What if you had to think about all the places you've investigated, what really stands out to you? I mean, no doubt you've got hundreds to think about, but
she's got a much better memory than I do. She can talk about things far better.
Well, most of my face-to-face, physical investigations, most of mine were in Greece.
Okay.
So they were quite intense because there's a lot of ancient energy in that place in Greece.
Yeah. I bet that's interesting, isn't it? Do you find that cultures around the world, you've obviously investigated
yes.
all over, do you find that different cultures have a different impact on the kind of manifestation that you're getting?
Yeah. Well, for instance, in Greece, I'll give you an example. In Greece, you can feel the energy. It's still alive. It's there. You can walk around and you can feel it because there's a lot of portals, ancient portals there from ancient times, and they're always, most of them are open. They're still open. There's a lot of history there. While coming to Scotland, I was thinking, oh my God, witches and hangings and this and that and leprechauns and fairies. Oh my God, this is going to be fascinating. I have never felt such death in a country.
Wow.
It is beautiful. It is gorgeous. Scotland, don't get me wrong, it's gorgeous. It's green, it's beautiful, it's alive, but you walk on the ground and you feel the oppression, you feel the death. You can smell it.
And what do you think that is? Why is that distinct to Scotland? What is there any?
Well, it's been under oppression for so many years.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of wars that's happened here. A lot of people, a lot of kings, queens, empires trying to take over this country.
Yeah.
And so you can see that Scotland sometimes looks like a place where it's just with balls and chains and trying to break free.
Yeah. And that's manifesting physically with them voting to try and have their own independence and stuff,
Exactly.
which I have no opinion on really. I think it's great if they want their own independence. But do you find that because of the ancient kind of, and it goes for other countries as well, because of that historical oppression and the negative things that have happened, do you find that it works the other way around? So we talk about the living manifesting our own fears or our own happiness. Does it happen the other way around, where the spirit world can almost manifest our attitude? So if you're in a negative environment, it can make you negative.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I mean, the people here, sorry, Chris, the people here are just like with blinkers. And I'm sorry to say, but they don't even say hello in the neighborhood. They're constantly, they're constantly like, yeah, hi, or they don't talk to you at all. And I've noticed that. I've been in Scotland for 3 years, and people don't talk to each other unless you're out in a small little village. Yeah.
Yeah, talking about other countries as well, because I'm fascinated by that aspect now, that kind of how it can reverse, how, because a lot of people will walk into a room and they'll say, oh, something bad happened here. And if they were to spend long enough there, of course, it would begin to make them kind of, I guess, channel those feelings. Yes. So have you been to investigations like that where it's the other way around? They're not manifesting it, but it's almost manifesting them.
Well, this goes back to what we were saying earlier with lockdown, how we're stirring up the spirits. And so the spirits are influencing us with their feelings and their terror and their confusion as to what's going on. Why is everybody so upset? And they get upset and they're building that negativity, and it can escalate. But it isn't that they're evil or anything. They're not trying to hurt you. They themselves are lost, and they're trying to understand why are things like this right now.
It's like every house, to me, every house has got a spirit. Every old house, even the land that you built your house on, there's spirits there. It's like without the way we are at the moment, people are being miserable, negative. It's like we're awakening them and opening the portals. That's what it feels like.
Exactly.
Yeah. So do you find that kind of all that negativity negativity that's going round? Because obviously, in human world, the human world, we have good people, we have bad people, good intentions, bad intentions. Is it difficult to get through to the spirits that have good intentions? Are they? Do you find that they are constantly pushed to the side, and are they defeated by the negativity?
It depends on how negative they are.
Yeah.
When things are really bad, then yeah, they will back away for their own protection.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
My grandmother used to say that if there's a demon in a home, there are no ghosts because they cannot stay with the demon.
Yeah.
I have found that the term demon, and yeah, I'm a demonologist, but I'm not a Christian demonologist or a demonologist like anybody else you're ever going to meet. It took a long time for me to really accept that title, because demon predates any of our stereotypes or any of our preconceptions. And whether you think of it as Beelzebub or Lucifer or anything else, these are things that we put on them. Those are images we put there. A lot of them come back from Mesopotamia and Sumer in Christian demonology. And even the first book of demonology was written, Christian book, was written by King James, the same guy who got the King James Bible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it isn't something that should be taken, and forgive me for putting it this way, but it shouldn't be taken seriously, because these things are universal. They're worldwide. They're everywhere. And they do not manifest the same way. You're not going to get a Christian demon in a Hindu home.
Exactly.
You're going to get a Hindu demon.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, and that comes back to what I spoke of earlier, where if you believe in the Virgin Mary, you will manifest the Virgin Mary, and that's kind of how it happens. Is it possible though that what they're dealing with, in the crux of it, is ultimately the same thing, but they're just manifesting their own belief onto it? It's almost like it's a blank canvas. They're just painting their own image on it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that goes to the point that these things feed off of our energy.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to manifest in a way that's going to affect us personally and powerfully, for good or evil.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. Yeah. And one thing I've always not struggled with, but when people ask you particular questions as an investigator, well, what is a ghost? And what is a spirit? And is there a difference? And what's the difference between a ghost and a demon? And all that kind of stuff. Do you have set kind of descriptions for what each one is?
Yes.
Yeah. Would you like to talk us through them? Because I'm fascinated to know what your take is on the difference between a ghost and a spirit and a demon.
Well, a ghost is a human. Well, a ghost is a living being who has died. Somebody or something that has had a body and has died. It could be a dog, a cat, a human being, any living being that has strong ties, and therefore has a reason to manifest, and a strong will. That's important. But these other things that we term demons, they have never been human. They have never lived. These are things that have always been energy and always have existed in one form or another. I think we give them too much credit when we say that they are all powerful and they know the wisdom of the ages. The truth is, in my personal experience, they are repetitive. They will use the same tactics over and over and over and over again because those tactics have worked for them when trying to suck energy out of their victims. But they don't work on me. I cannot be intimidated by them. When they try to do it, I'm like, again? It never works. Why do you keep trying the same stuff over and over again?
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to me.
No, but I guess because they have never lived, that they don't understand the concept of choice and the concept of I guess they're kind of this mechanical almost, that they do what they do and there's no deviating from the path, I guess.
Well, Kathrine and I have had some terrific conversations. I lived with her for about 4 months about the fact that, by definition, these things are aliens.
Yes.
And I'm going to let her take it from there and talk about it. It's fascinating, actually.
Yeah, and I do believe that all these angels, you want to call them demons, you want to call them elementals. Apparently, well, an example: the elementals, the fairies, the fae people. They were
nature, spirits tied to places.
Exactly. Yeah. And they were from ancient times, from the time of Atlantis, for instance, or the Lemurians, right? And as humans, we used the elementals as weapons for war between us.
Yeah.
And that's why, for me, they've disappeared. They're hiding. They hate us. They try to trick us. They try to do different things. They try to scare us. Because we are the bad ones, not them.
Yeah. And how do you find, because obviously people will struggle with the concept of, if it's not human, then how can it exist in this world? And for me, you have to step outside of the what's socially accepted as the world that we live in. So one of my theories is that we live in a holographic universe and things are operating on multiple frequencies. That would mean that they're interdimensional. So I argue that aliens are actually interdimensional, not interplanetary. Is this what you guys are talking about here?
I'll say, I'll give you an example. We are small atoms in a big giant that's called the universe.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. That's what we are. We're just vibrating energy, really.
Exactly.
A particular frequency.
Everything is just energy. And, there are more, this is according to NASA. There are more habitable worlds in the universe than there are grains of sand on Earth. That's humbling.
Yeah.
Here we are worrying about what our neighbor is doing, or that line in the sand that has been arbitrarily drawn hundreds of years ago. And the truth is, we are only an infinitesimally small part of something much, much greater.
Yeah.
We are, but having said that, we are also the universe. We are the universe. We were created from exploding stars. All of the material universe that exists today was created in ancient supernovas. Yeah. And we are the universe, become aware of itself and looking back on itself and trying to understand it. That is pretty big, and that's pretty empowering.
Yeah, I mean, it's great that what you're talking about here, because it fits in with my own research. Kathrine, you wanted to?
Yeah, I just want to say that those entities, you want to call them, well, I call them aliens, right? They were there before us, way before us.
Yeah.
So they came down to teach us.
Yeah.
But we never learn.
Yeah.
We
history repeats itself, I guess.
Yes. And actually what Chris was saying, that they follow like demons follow the same pattern. We are the pattern.
Yeah.
That's interesting. And do you think that's because we've kind of inherited their world, or because we're using them in a way, their behavior is rubbing off on us, I guess, and we're beginning to act like them?
It's not the behavior so much. It's just that I won't say they're mocking us, but sometimes, they might think that we're a bit stupid. Sorry. So they are playing us.
Yeah. And do you think that because I know a lot of people say that these demons, they're the guys that are really controlling the world, and you can call them what you want. I know people that will call them demons or archons or extraterrestrials or whatever. Are they really controlling the world, or is there another spiritual aspect that is fighting on our side?
We have free will.
Yeah.
Everybody, I have a goddaughter that I love dearly, and recently a snake went into her garage in India, and she thought she could pray, and then the snakes would never come back. I had to tell her, honey, I love you, but prayer alone doesn't do that. If it did, there would be no Christian martyrs. There'd be no Buddhist martyrs.
Yeah.
You know, the truth is we have free will. God gave that to us. And that means that evil can happen. It will affect us. Tragedy will happen. And those things are there for us to overcome. We're not here to live in heaven. This isn't heaven. We're here to learn. And we learned because we are just human. Most of us learn the hard way. And that means we need to be smacked upside the head occasionally. And we do need to be corrected so that we will grow. Yeah. And so adversity is really important. And we shouldn't start thinking that, you know, we're not in charge. We really are. It is our world. And we can change it. That is up to us.
Yeah, and if you haven't learned, sorry to interrupt, if you haven't learned your lesson in this life, that's why we have the reincarnation to come back again and again. But that's another podcast we can do.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's everything you're saying rings massively true with myself, and you know, something I could talk about all day, really. But unfortunately, we are fastly running out of time now. We've got a couple of minutes left. As always, for any show that I do, the last word goes over to the guests. So, Kathrine, is there anything you'd like to put across to the audience? Maybe just a roundup of what we've spoken about today, or particularly maybe talking about CALM, which is just the great campaign that we're doing this for.
Yeah, my message out there, guys, is laugh, smile, hug your family, love your neighbor, walk around barefooted outside, put some music on. Like I said, hug your family. It's very important to be amongst your family. And I know that we can't be amongst our friends because of the lockdown. Interact with them on the phone. Ring them up. Talk to them. Say hello. Say hello to the world.
Yeah.
That's my message.
Great. And Chris?
Fear is the enemy. Keep that in mind. We are not powerless. None of us are. We are literally the authors of our own lives. It takes courage to change your life. It takes courage to face those fears, overcome them, and make your life better. You are not trapped. No one is trapped. You just have to have the courage to change. Change is hard, but it is also the only thing that's constant in this world. Nothing will ever remain the same. Everything always changes. There will be good times, there will be bad times. If you are in trouble, if you need help, get help. Reach out. Be there. There are people who will love you if you let them. Do not feel like you're alone. This is a wonderful campaign. I hope you'll support it. There are many great ways you can reach out to people, whether it's just right now in lockdown, you can Skype call somebody, show them that you love them, show them that you care, do everything you can. And when you're facing the paranormal, remember what I said, fear is the enemy. Fear will help things to manifest in a bad way. If you are not afraid, then you will be in a far greater position of power.
Yeah. Brilliant. And just to echo what you two guys have said there, please, I know someone in the chat has pinned the Just Giving page. It will be all over the Festival of the Unexplained Facebook group. Just get onto the Just Giving page. Do give charitably. Everybody's being impacted at the moment. Everybody will know someone or has heard of someone that's having, is living miserably, really, and worse. So please give charitably. Chris, Kathrine, thank you so much for coming on. It's been an absolute privilege to have you on. I hope everybody watching this has enjoyed it. If you're joining later, then welcome to the show. It's going to be on YouTube and all that stuff. So brilliant. Thank you, guys. Take care. Look after yourself.
God bless you. And if you need help with the paranormal, please contact the Warren Legacy Foundation. We're here to help you. We're on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and everywhere else you could possibly imagine. Or you can just get a hold of us through warrenlegacyfoundation@gmail.com.
Brilliant. Thank you, guys. Take care.
Bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.